Good morning, everyone out there. This is Tina of Tenderly Stitched, of course, and I have a little treat for you today. So, a thing that I've heard over the years a lot from people is that they feel intimidated going into like big box stores or the big quilt shows like Festival. And also, big quilt shows can be tiring, right? So you're excited to be there, you're excited to take all the classes, and you're excited to interact with the people and whatnot, but it can be tiring. Well, guess what? Don't forget that your local quilt guilds put on shows. They can put on shows maybe every year or every other year. So I would do a search for your local quilt shows, excuse me, local quilt guilds, and find out when they put on their shows. And make sure you go because it's definitely not intimidating to come to a smaller show. And guess what? You still see some fantastic quilts. And I'm about to walk you through the Plano Quilt Show so that you can see the beautiful quilts. I tell you, local, don't get me wrong, all of the professional instructors out there who make beautiful quilts that get showcased in the big shows do amazing work. But that local talent is very fantastic as well. So I'm going to walk through and show you some of my favorites. And guess what? Again, small quilt show, it's easy to kind of go through and see it all at a leisurely pace. And they still have some awesome vendors too. So I may not get to the vendors in this moment, but trust me, some of the vendors that you see at the big shows still got to make money during the year. So they go to the small shows too. So take a walk with me and let's start to see some of the quilts, how they transition the batiks in a way in which that orange is like very striking in here. And then you have your triangles in purple, and you see how the brightness is at the point of that triangle. And look how well they complemented all the colors throughout the quilt. So very simple to piece, but look how they spent their time on the color placement. So that's the thing I love about quilting. You can spend your time and effort on any part of the quilt construction process or making process such that you get to enjoy what you want. Also, look at how the person went around the flowers with the quilting that are in the fabric itself and within the batik fabric. And look how they did it consistently throughout the quilt. So they use the flowers as their quilt motif. Isn't that something? And you see how, if let me go in a little bit closer so you can see how they complemented, let me go back, how they complemented the thread color. So they've used that orange, which complements all of the flowers. Isn't that something? And then they have that beautiful quilt. All right. So the other thing I would say is when you come to a small quilt show, also realize that you will see a wide variety of quilt presented because quilt guilds have people who love to make different things, and this is their chance to kind of showcase their quilts. Now, look how in this one in particular, first of all, we have to talk about the quilting, right? Look at the quilt motifs used, which definitely complement the Lone Star quilt pattern, or I think this is actually, because I saw a quilt similar to this one at QuiltCon this year, so definitely Native American themed kind of. And then look at those beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Lone Stars. I love it. And if you understand, let me just zoom in and show you. They actually use a log cabin technique to make these. So that's why you get the transition in colors within the star that way. There's many ways to make Lone Stars. You can make them from strips. You can do paper piecing. But I tell you, that log pattern layout is actually a fantastic way to do this one. Here, I'm pretty sure they did this one through strips because there's a consistency between each of the diamonds. But look how, and I love just the creativity part. Look how this diamond is coming out of this one. I love that. I absolutely love that. And how you get that is there's 4 small diamonds connected to this one, which is connected to the whole. And then you get the beautifulness that's right there. Oh, this one as well. Look how they placed the color. Again, I've walked through here, so I think I see a theme in how people actually was very intentional about their color placement. Does that not look funky and fun? Also notice something that modern quilters do a lot. Look how they did very dense quilting in the negative space, so in the white space, and that forces the colors to pop out, the patchwork or the squares that are solid colors to stand out. So you have high density stitching in all of the negative space, and that makes the solids pop out. Isn't that something? And even though that's white thread on white fabric, that dense stitching pops still. Look at that. Let me just hold right there for a moment so you can see. And even from here, I'm saying I'm about 4 or 5 feet away from it right now. You still see that stitching. And I can't tell you which one I love more, the quilting or the color placement. But you know what? I love the work in it. Oh my goodness, even down to the fussy cutting of the boots in the center star there. Oh, that took a lot of planning, but look at that. A lot of beautiful quilting. Look at that, even within the border, how they've made sure that they repeat Texas all the way across. So, oh, and look how the feathers, feathers, quilt motif is just beautiful in that border. Love it. Get to see an overall green quilt that often, but look at that. Again, look at the color placement and how it gives you that visual. They've used the same quilt fabric here, here, and here. A different one in that point and that point as well. And then just look how fun it is. Look at those daggone birdies. Just look. They've got a different, there's a chicken gumbo, a fried chicken, a chicken a la king, a chicken divine, a chicken basket. Oh, I'm loving the theme. Chicken stew, and so on. So each of the chickens represent a different chicken dish. I love the funness of this quilt. And again, the quilting is gorgeous. Look how much quilting they did in the border as well. I love the pieced border. Me, myself, I don't get to piece my borders as much as I like, but now that I've kind of taught the Seminole pattern for at one of my last recent quick retreats, I know that I can make my borders now interesting and quick. Lot of piecing in the border, lots of piecing in the border. Love it. Actually, I have a good friend who has a lot of these little houses made. I might now suggest that she uses up some of her houses in some of the borders of her quilts, because she definitely has enough. She actually has enough small stars like that one too. I like that. Very creative. Also, I like the echoing around the appliques. I like how the filler quilt motifs are changing up, which gives it, for me, a more modern feeling. So, here's like a swirly plume, some stippling, then some feathers, and then some swirls and whatnot. So they're changing up the quilt motif to fit the spaces. Like this is just a swirly bit in there. So very, very good job. Love the quilting on that. And shoot, that's how you get a ribbon. There's a good reason for you not making a quilt that's been on your bucket list. I've had this jelly roll quilt on my bucket list since the time I first learned how to quilt. So I saved it because I like quilts that can be put together quickly sometimes, because you want that feeling of completion, right? But look how they took a quilt that's basically quick to make and then added on top of it. That is the part I love. Look how they've added these flowers on top of that base quilt. And then also look how in the negative space, they have complemented the idea behind the quilt with the butterflies. They've also appliqued on top some butterflies. A good friend of mine, Francine, she did something similar to like that on one of her first quilts, where she added the fuzzy cutted out birds and butterflies on her grandbaby's quilt. So I love doing things like that. Just personalize it, make it more interesting. And the quilting is nice, just overall stippling to complement the quilt. So I love it. But those butterflies really stand out to me, not only in the quilt motif, but in the applique as well. And that's not even forget to mention how beautiful these flowers actually are as well. So very different shaped flower. I don't know what flower that is, but it definitely stands out. All right, let me try my best to pick up this pace because I tell you, I literally have not even got through the first. I really haven't gotten through the first 2 hours, I think, and there's about four to go. So, oh wow, that's so much interest